So friends, with yet another federal court loss for Donald Trump, he just may be setting an all-time record for the most court losses by any president and his administration. Let's talk about his most recent loss. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, on day one of Donald Trump's second term, he tried to override, revoke, cancel a portion of the Constitution. The Constitution says in substance, if you were born here, you're a citizen here. And Donald Trump said, nope. And he signed an executive order trying to revoke the constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship. Well, now, federal courts of appeal, literally from coast to coast, have told Donald Trump, no. Let's start with the new reporting. This from USA Today. Headline, Appeals Court refuses to lift block on Trump's order restricting birthright citizenship. And that article begins, a federal appeals court continued Tuesday to block President Donald Trump's order to end automatic citizenship to children born to two parents who are not legally authorized to be in the country, another setback for his top priority of strengthening immigration enforcement. The first U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, covering New England, became the nation's second federal appeals court to refuse Trump's request to allow his order to take effect while the case is litigated after the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals along the West Coast. Trump has said he expects to eventually win the legal dispute at the Supreme Court. A three-judge appeals panel refused to overturn the lower court's injunction, which found the states were likely to succeed in proving the order violated the Constitution and that the children at stake would be irreparably harmed. Chief Judge David Barron wrote for Judges Julie Reichelman and Seth Aframe that the government, meaning Donald Trump's DOJ lawyers, the government had not made a strong showing that the state attorneys general were likely to lose their case, nor that the government, DOJ, was likely to succeed in showing that the executive order is lawful. New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin, who led the case, said every court that has reviewed Trump's order found it, quote, flagrantly unconstitutional, and the appeals courts have refused to put it back in place. Quote, we are thrilled with the First Circuit's decision, and we look forward to standing up for our birthright citizens no matter how far the Trump administration takes this case, Platkin said in a statement. Trump signed the executive order on his first day back in office, January 20. He directed U.S. agencies to refuse to recognize the citizenship of children born in the United States if neither their mother nor father was a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. The order aimed to revoke a long-standing provision of the Constitution that has been upheld in the Supreme Court. At least 10 federal lawsuits challenged the order, and several judges temporarily blocked its enforcement. For some historical context, the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868 after the Civil War, states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. A Supreme Court decision in 1898 upheld the interpretation that anyone born in the U.S. is a citizen. Now, friends, I'm not going to read much of this lengthy opinion to you, but there's one paragraph that kind of jumped out at me. It caught my attention because there is something really off about what Donald Trump's DOJ lawyers admitted in court. So let me read this one paragraph, and bear with me because it's a little dense. We note, we meaning the three-judge appellate court panel, we note to the extent that we must consider irreparable injury to the parties or to the public resulting from the premature enforcement of a determination which may later be found to have been wrong in assessing the public interest, we must consider how the interests of the broader public are affected by premature enforcement of the determination in the executive order regarding who is entitled to be recognized as a U.S. citizen. The risks that this determination may later be deemed wrong are high given, and here is the really curious and odd part, given that the government, meaning the DOJ lawyers arguing in favor of revoking birthright citizenship, given that those attorneys, the government, don't argue to us that the executive order likely complies with either federal constitutional or federal statutory law. Friends, let me reread that last sentence one more time, and then we have to unpack the oddity of that kind of a representation coming out of the mouths of DOJ lawyers. The risks that this determination may later be deemed wrong are high, given that the government, the DOJ lawyers, do not argue to us that the executive order likely complies with either federal constitutional or federal statutory law. What are they saying there? They're saying that Donald Trump's dirty DOJ lawyers went in and argued that, look, Judge, I know what I'm urging you to do is not really constitutional. It doesn't really comport with federal constitutional or federal statutory law, but I'm arguing you should do it anyway. You know, friends, you don't have to be a lawyer to understand how flippin' wrong that is for DOJ lawyers who are supposed to be representing the interests of the American people to go into court and argue, in essence, you should take away birthright citizenship from children, from people who, in accordance with the Constitution, are citizens of the United States. You should do it, and I kind of know that it's not really constitutional or in keeping with federal statutory law. You know, there's no words for that kind of a legal practice coming from DOJ attorneys. That's kind of the stuff that should get you referred to bar counsel, get you sanctioned. I found that paragraph, that sentence in particular, to be remarkable and remarkably disturbing, coming from lawyers who are supposed to be representing the interests of all the people of the United States. But what we now have are federal circuit courts of appeal from coast to coast telling Donald Trump a big fat no, you can't do it. We're keeping the injunction in place. We're not going to let you start acting on this unconstitutional executive order while this case winds its way through the court. And that is a damn good thing, because honoring the rights of people and their citizenship, regardless of how they became citizens, like justice, matters. This is a point of light, friends. We're looking for them, and they're out there. As always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.